Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Thank
How's it going?
you. Hang on. A little PepTides. Oh, no, that's just gear. How are you? I've got all your drapes closed.
Yeah, because it's too much coming in.
Oh,
So I'm trying
right.
You know, make the lighting a bit better. It's great.
Just seeing some fun people signing on.
Yeah.
And how are you doing, Anita? Did you like the video?
Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you the whole story. I don't know if you saw what I posted and stuff, but I woke up yesterday morning. I was having a rough day.
Mm-hmm.
Because yesterday I did my practice for my presentation that I mentioned to you about, that I'm my final graduation project.
Yep.
And so I was doing like a practice with the teachers, and I was really, really stressed, you know. And I woke up and I'm like, oh, it's April 22nd. What a bummer. You know?
Yep.
So sad. I'm like, oh, this was the day. No, it's not. You know, super bummed. I was like, oh, at least I'll have something positive to keep me going for the project. Like, I was on the project from 1 till 4, so it was like a few different students who passed. And I was the last one, so I waited until like 3 o'clock to actually do mine. So then I finished. It was almost 4 o'clock. And then I'm talking to a friend on the phone. And I'm just there like, I wish, like, you know? And then I hang up with my friend and I look at Facebook and I'm like, oh, message from DeeDee Butters. Let's see what this is. Oh, yeah. And I'm just there like bawling my eyes out. Like, oh, my God. I'm like, I needed this because.
Well, we sent it to you right away. As soon as it was out, we knew you would see it, so I sent it right to you.
Oh, my God. And then, I mean, I've been so busy the past, like, couple of days. But I ended up being able to watch it 5 times already.
Good. That's
so it was amazing. Really, really good.
Thank you so much.
Really good.
We're so proud of this video, and we've really been really lucky with everyone that we've worked with so far. And this is just another, hello, Simon.
Hey, Simon.
This is another great experience that we've had. With the director that Rebecca has worked with in the past for a couple of other projects, and he happened to be coming into town, and the date that he had already booked to be in town was not looking very good for one of the projects that was supposed to be working with him, and so we decided that it might be kind of kismet to be able to kind of dovetail that. So it was a little bit of luck on all sides. But we're still doing a lot of our art on our own, and so we do have, professional management and all that kind of stuff. But when you really want to do, a big piece, it's just not something that, unless you have a label that's really, investing in you or like, it's everyone's pretty DIY these days. And I'm sure it was like that before for musicians, but you always hear about, someone being like, our label, invested in us and has people producing for them. But what's great about doing it DIY is that we get to do really exactly what we want. We can be as strange as we want. We can really kind of be the PepTides, so we're really pleased that something that we produced ourselves and sort of really put together ourselves, it turned out so well. And we've had that sense of luck with our past projects too, but this I think is the biggest scale that we've ever done.
I think it's beyond like what I've seen you guys, like, I mean, you guys have done amazing work, but like this is like, I watched it and I'm just there like,
it's a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a crazy thing, right?
It was amazing. I'm like, and I'm part of this. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing work.
So tell me about that, Anita, because I didn't realize that Claude had asked you
it was
what
actually,
video.
I don't know if like it was part of it or whatever, but he messaged me last year, 2019, January 10th. I was looking through my screenshots.
Oh my God.
He said, like, if you were to pick the next single, what would it be?
Okay.
And I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the songs and I'm just like, this one really makes me dance and stuff. And ever since I heard it, I'm like, this needs to be the next single. So when he asked me, I said, what do you think about Invaders? And he's like, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that he did that. The way that we make decisions in the project is by, everyone has to kind of come together because we're collective, right? But we also have an internal structure that probably most people don't know about, which is that we kind of have, because there's 9 of us, there's so many, we're not just kind of calling your bandmate going, what do you think? And then you make a decision.
Yeah.
Like, great, let's do it. You kind of have to make a recommendation to the project because, it's a mature project now, and people have thoughts and opinions on the brand, right? And so we had knew that we wanted to make a video, and what we do when we have a big thing happen or come up that we need to do is we form a little subcommittee. So it's like a group within the group that advises the rest of the group on what to do, and then basically everyone can just say, okay, yay or nay, so it's a sort of a small discussion so that our group chats don't get so crazy. They're already so crazy. Imagine trying to make big decisions in this like never-ending 9-person group chat, so we had this video subcommittee. And that was also the first video that we had thought about too, but I think Claude had mentioned his conversation with you. So we were talking about, what we were thinking about looking at song-wise on the album. And it seems to be the most compelling choice. And you were our external consultant as well. So, but we know our music so, intimately, because it plays a big part in your daily life, so, but we had also been thinking sort of along the same lines. So that's really nice. And then when we were thinking about, what kind of video,
it was either that or Beautiful Creatures. Honestly, no joke.
Yeah. A lot of people love Beautiful Creatures too.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song, and I mean, but it doesn't have that well, maybe that should be our next one, and you can mark this date on your calendar as having the external consultant suggestion. So maybe it'll make it the next video. But I was thinking it might be interesting to tell you and the molecule followings the way that this location came about.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about who wrote it and who sings it and the meaning of it.
Oh, okay.
Inspiration, everything, all about it. Yeah.
Well, so this is a song that was written by Claude and Andrew. And actually, I heard part of the writing of it because Claude would come over and would sit with Andrew, and they would sort of go back and forth and be clarifying the chords. And Claude always has, when he writes a tune, some people will write for certain things as their primary kind of directive. So when I write melody, and it doesn't have any lyrics, or, I just write against, I don't write my own music stuff. I can write against chords, so that's how my writing brain works. And Andrew and I often write together that way, so he'll give me a soundscape and I'll write a melody on it. Claude, on the other hand, my impression of it is, and he's such a brilliant writer and he's been doing it for such a long time, he writes for tone first. So he'll imagine kind of the vibe that he wants and the theme that he wants, and they're really intertwined together. So he had that kind of in his mind already, and it was a little bit of a throwback to his writing influence with regards to Hair, the musical. So this is kind of like our Age of Aquarius. It's that 70s vibe, that big, kind of 70s anthemic, but it's not necessarily like a disco dance tune like we've done before. It's more, a little bit more like a heavy vibe. You can still dance to it because it's really intense and it's really groovy. But it's like the Age of Aquarius. So that was kind of how that came about. And Andrew is very good at clarifying chords, and he really is a great writer also. So it was a Claude and Andrew special, and we recorded it in a couple of different places. And the lyrics that Claude was really, one of the lyrics that really popped out. So the theme is that the impact that the human race is having on this earth is negative, basically. So we are animals and we are, occupying this earth. But we're also leaving such an impact on it with regards to how we function in this natural environment, with regards to, the lyrics are sort of comparing us a little bit to the way that a virus invades.
Well, there you
the
go.
Body. Yeah,
exactly. Time to release it, right?
Well, that was kind of what we were thinking, and also the reason why we wanted to choose Earth Day is because one of the lyrics in the song is, we are who we are, invaders, we invade in car fume vapor. Yeah, car fume vapor, we. So when we were deciding to do, to consider the song as the single, I had a conversation with Claude at one point about the significance of that lyric, because it was, as you're writing a song, you're considering, whether or not to repeat or change parts of the chorus. There's decisions that have to be made like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to be really catchy, and sometimes, you really need that idea in there. And Claude at one point had been saying, no, we got to have car fume vapor, because that's really what's going to be like, if we died, if human race ended, what we would leave behind is all the things that can't be reclaimed by the earth, So we were thinking, like, there's going to be all this evidence of the car industry left behind, these husks of old cars. Sometimes you can see around, like, we've been looking around, for places to film. Like, as soon as we have something like this on the table, we all, or whoever has the time at the moment or the inspiration at the moment, starts doing some research to kind of throw out there as, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite moments in the project, that kind of revolves around, again, where there's always going to be the next, piece to produce or show to produce. And as you're sort of sitting on that precipice, all those ideas that come in that moment, that's my favorite jam. That's where I love to live, because at that point, all of the ideas can be as big or as small as you want them to be, until you start articulating them and finding how they're going to live in the world. Now, that's not necessarily how every industry works. Sometimes you really have to refine your ideas before you present them to anyone. For example, in theater, if you draw a costume and pitch it to a character, you have to be able to find that thing. That's just how that industry works. But in this sort of DIY space, my brain tends to have a lot of big ideas, and then they kind of get refined down into what they actually are. So I think at one point we had said, all right, let's take a think on Invaders, and that lyric had been recently, I think, mentioned again. And I had thought, well, what if we could film on an old car, or like in an old car lot, and so I started doing some research on scrap metal yards or car lots, or, just thinking about, like, what we can do that could be cool shots, like with a lot of scale, because this is a worldwide industry that is poisoning the earth. And yes, we all own cars, and yes, we all drive, and that's the world that we live in, and the dialogue internationally is how to reduce that carbon footprint, and the car industry is not the only industry that is hurting the earth, but it's a major one, as we see now that no one is able to, like, that 80% of the population is not driving.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere.
All the smog is gone, and we'll see it, So that's one of the reasons why we had wanted to talk about this on Earth Day, because we are living in a world that we wouldn't have been living in a couple months ago, which is that now we're only driving for absolutely necessary things, say once a week or twice a week, for those of us who are able to do that. Anyway, so we really wanted to kind of see if we could follow along, this invaders impact, if we have indeed invaded the earth, and we've evolved here, right? But our way of life is, if we were to die off or, leave, let's all go to the moon, what would be left would be the evidence of these industries, because they don't break down. So you can still find, old carcasses of cars in the forest, someone's old Ford is there, and it's never going away. Like, it's just always going to be there, which is sort of a premise that I think about a lot. and so the artists that I work with think about a lot. A couple of other projects that haven't been released yet play with those themes as well. So, so on the internet, we were looking around and sort of trying to find this thing, and I had happened upon this, I'm looking for scrap metal yards and car recycling facilities, and I was looking at this couple of different places, and, developing a plan B, we have a few favorite places that we've shot in the past. And so I was looking at those and thinking about, what shots we could do and things like that, just trying to brainstorm and give some options to the subcommittee. And I happened upon this website that was the facility we shot at was called Glenview Iron and Metal Limited. And I was like, okay, I see some cars and stuff like that. And then I had found them on Facebook, and then I went to their website.
The location? Okay, you went to the website.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, like,
this is it.
Well, you don't want to get too excited because what if you can't, right? But then I sent it to the subcommittee, and Claude was like, that's we have to, and I was like, okay, let's, let me reach out and see, if this is, I don't know if we can shoot there. I don't know if they will let us in. Are we going to have to wear safety boots? Are we going to have to, because we're trying to
Didn't look like there were many safety boots going on over there.
No, ma'am. I mean,
They were cool with a lot of it, huh?
Yeah, so
cool.
let me tell you how this came about. So when you're producing something, so this is, I was the main producer on this particular one, and we do shift around and stuff like that, but this one happened to be my turn, I guess, and I like that job a lot. And I've done a little work in film, so I kind of sort of have an idea of like, what kind of budget lines you need to think about. But the thing you have to do is you have to say, okay, guys, we have to look at these like 17 things that have to come together for this all to work. And you start working on each of them individually, but at the same time, and you're just kind of lifting the whole thing up until it starts to come together. So everyone's available on this date, or they're driving in from this location, or, and you get the space, and this is the budget, and this is and
we're 9 people. Like,
that's right. So first it's schedule, second, and the director and all that kind of stuff, whoever you choose to work with, and the space and the gear. And so do you have those things? You need a guy, you need a camera, you need a spot, and you need other people. And you probably need a bathroom and some food and beer. So
was there a bathroom there? That's the main thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you how this all ended up. I started making some calls to these locations to say, hey, what would it cost? Because sometimes it's really expensive to spend the whole day there, because the business has needs too and all that. So, and I finally heard back from this main dude at Glenview Iron and Metal, and I hadn't realized I was trying to talk to the boss, but in my past sales experience, if you can get to the boss, then you have a better answer right away, And he finally called me back, or I finally got him. I was like, okay, we're going to go with this plan B. It's not as cool, but I'm going to just give this guy one last call. I'm going to call him directly just to see, because I need an answer. We need to see. And he answered the phone, and I'm like, oh my God, hi, I'm this crazy artist person that, I want to talk to you about your spot. And he was like, hey, sorry, I meant to get back to you. And I was like, oh, cool. I didn't realize you were getting the messages. We want to do this thing, and I want to talk to you about the details of it. And we had a short conversation. He says, all right, well, look that's probably okay, but I need to see your eyes. I want to look in your eyes to see who you are. I want to shoot here, and I want to look at your eyes. And I was like, okay, that's okay. Cool.
I'm not that bad.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy, but I'm a little crazy, but good crazy. I hope,
Crazy in a good way, not in
exactly. I can handle that, good crazy. And I said, yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to come out and see your spot. And he was like, all right, well, we're open tomorrow. 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning on, and maybe you want to come, sometime after 6. And I was like, oh, no. 6, no, I don't, would it be okay if it was maybe more like 9 or 10? Because I'm not a morning kind of girl. Like, we're musicians, but we work until 2 in the morning sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So 6 in the morning, no. Anyway, he goes, all right. Get here when you get here, 9, 10, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, 9. We can do 9. He goes, all right, see you tomorrow. Click. Like, super brusque. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this guy. So Rebecca and I got in the car because she and I were really at this point, thinking about anyways, I was like, let's go, let's do this. And so we got in the car, we drove all the way out there, we got out of the car at 9 in the morning, and there's a guy waiting for us there.
Literally waiting, eh?
Huge truck. And he goes, who can't get out of bed? And I was like, that's me. I'm the one that can't get out of bed. He goes, morning. And he gives me this handshake, and he says, hop in the truck, we're going to go on a tour. And he drove us all around. Anita, this place is like hectares. It's like multiple acres. It's the size of like a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood.
I mean, just the video was shot, like it looked like it was crazy huge where it was, like, and it was just a small part of it.
Yeah, we were able to capture maybe like a quarter of the space. That was probably about a quarter of it. And you do get a sense of that scale. But I was thinking to myself, like, as we're driving through, it was so much more incredible than the pictures even showed. Like, it showed pictures of some pretty big stuff, and with the multiplicity that is really compelling, because you want a lot of, unless you're going for a minimalist thing, which
we're not.
Well, we've had minimalist backgrounds before in our videos, but this wasn't that, you know? And it was so much bigger than I was able to imagine. I was like, Becky and I were like, we were just stunned. And he was driving us through, and he was taking us through the history of this place, which his grandfather had started in the 40s. And it had become this giant, huge facility over the last, however, 80 years. And it was still run in the same family, and had been passed down. His grandfather's old shack from the 40s was still there. And he was telling us, kind of taking us through, you know, the different parts of the facility and what parts of it could kill you and stuff like that, you know. And I was trying to ask him all sorts of questions about, like, can we climb on that? Can we go close to that? Exactly. And the answer was yes, you can. Exactly. You know,
and watching those scenes, and I'm just like, I want to break stuff now.
I know, right? Does a mazel tov. You want to throw a plate or something?
Explode through that thing. I'm just like,
I know.
Damn.
Yeah. So we were capturing this footage, you know, to be able to send to the director, and at the same time asking him what our limitations were and what the timeline could be. And he was like, yeah, okay. Well, you know, you can shoot from this time in the morning till at the night, and I'm going to give you a supervisor so you don't kill yourselves. His insurance made him have to do that too. But the main piece of machinery that we were shooting near or around is the car shredder. And there were some restrictions around that, you know, because you can't be in the path of the, there's a certain amount of shrapnel that can come out of that machine as it hits the car. It's like, blah, 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 and it's spitting. You know, it's not doing it very often, but you could, if it did happen to do that, be decapitated, for example. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously we're going to stay with, and he says, you know, I can't shut that down for you. That's $10,000 a day. And I was like, no.
So how many days did it take to film it?
One day.
So 1 day, right?
Yeah. So what we did was we decided to, so here's the little button on the end of that little story of that day. We got back to his office, and that tour that he'd taken us on, he had mentioned that he loves tequila, Patron specifically, and we had said, you know, we were starting to get down to the point of, you know, okay, what's it going to cost us to be there? And he goes, so what do you want to do? You want to make some art? You're making some art here? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. He goes, I don't want your money. And I was like, okay, so maybe we could give you a really nice bottle of tequila. And he was like, all right, yeah. And then we shook on it. So, and it was negotiated for one full day, you know, from say 9 in the morning till 9 at night with a shift change if we needed it. We would try to stop at 5, and it was, the exchange would be one bottle of tequila.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Amazing, though.
Yeah, I mean, he'd had people shoot there before, because it's actually, I think, a historical, you know, it's a huge...
I mean, it's dumb, but at the same time, it looked awesome.
Well, it isn't, actually. It's a recycling facility. So, and it's a place where people can come and sell their metal and buy their metal, and they do receive other things, but it's not actually garbage. It's metal and iron and metal. Yeah.
It looked amazing, though. It looked like
Yeah.
Super artistic, actually.
I know, right? So those big barrels that you see, those are what the gas, the petrol in a petrol station, when you go get your car up, that's underneath the ground. And they fill up this huge tank that's like the size of a house with gas, and they refill it. So sometimes gas stations can actually be empty because they haven't been able to be refilled. And that drum underneath the earth is what the gas is in. And eventually they rust and need to be replaced. And that would be the place where you would send your drum, for example, or your huge tractor tires, or your automobile that or your rebar, or your paper. They are a recycling facility.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what we had to do then was, like, we were stunned. We went out for breakfast afterwards, Rebecca and I in Smith Falls, and we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's, just talking it through, and just minds blown about the fact that this is going to be so amazing, sending footage to the director. And then some time passed, and it was starting to get time to really plan out the day, and what I was thinking was, where are we going to change? Where are we going to make the pee-pee?
Yeah.
We're all going to...
day.
Yeah, because it's 9 in the morning, and people were going to be driving in from different locations, I think some of them had come from a little bit of a different place, as an westerly place. So we had tried to get a facility that was in that direction so they could meet us there, And then I was thinking to myself, this place is so much bigger than I could have ever imagined. How are we going to keep our team together and ready for when their shot comes up? So we rented an RV and trundled this giant RV onto the place, and then it goes, and you set it all up. And that was actually something that Dale was really amazingly helpful with, because he's like the travel daddy. Yeah, he's travel daddy.
Being an RV, being questioned about and stuff, so that's what it was for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I found that rental and negotiated that, and then Dale, for example, went and picked it up the day before, and Alex secured the craft services so that we would have some, food and drink for people during the day, and there was the bathroom facility, and Olex brought a couple $100 worth of gold jewelry from Toronto, and also amazing plexi jewelry from her friend who makes all that jewelry at the Nina Spade Studios. So she brought all that. And then basically we kind of set up shop, and everyone arrived. We took a tour and talked about what the action was going to be, and talked about what the shots were going to feel like. And then Aaron just did his thing.
Such a good job. Amazing shots. There's so many brilliant shots in that video.
I know.
Wonderful.
And we could have gotten so much more. We could have gotten so many more, And how the day kind of went was, in the beginning of the day, the guys got all duded up, and they did some smashing, and and then they set their instruments up and they were playing, and then we did that first big group walk shot where we're walking into the scene, which was really cool. And half of the girls didn't have their makeup fully done. I wasn't ready yet, so we all had our sunglasses on because we didn't know
that thing when you guys are walking with your shades, it's just
I know,
blammo. Adds to it. It was great.
Completely blank eyes because I didn't have time,
These girls are just too much. It's just
that's right. That's right.
That.
We're just gonna party in this giant, amazing place. And we had a tent so that people could be having a space outside that was in the shade, which is really important. We had a cooler with ice and all that kind of stuff. You just have to think about what people are going to need to be able to live for 12 hours somewhere together. So we did our big group shot, and then we did individual shots throughout the day, and then we did another big group shot of the of all of us sitting on the tires.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So smelly, it was the smelliest smelly of smells, other than maybe dead body smell.
Okay.
No. It wasn't that smelly, but it was hot, dirty rubber smell. And we're draping ourselves all over them. And afterwards I was why do I smell so bad? I smell disgusting. I was it's because I'm rubbing myself on a tire all day. Anyway, so that was fun. And
another shot I really liked actually was when you guys were all standing there drinking. I was oh yeah, take a drink.
Yeah,
that was
we
good.
weren't sure if we should keep that part or not, because it was sort of a little bit of program, it wasn't really, something
but
that
I loved it. I watched it and I'm just they need a little bit of a drink while they're here,
Right. Well, we were supposed to be, one of the big themes of the project is partying while the world burns down.
There you
Like
go.
that's kind of what we're doing as a human race, aren't we? So, so we had some colored water in there, and we had tasked Scott and Claude, I think, to get those glasses, and they did a really good job getting like those really cool like low key glasses. And
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, we all got ourselves together with like a beer or whatever, and we walked around the area that we were in. We were really only in like one side of the facility, but there was like so many other areas that we could have gone into, and we just grabbed shots along the way, and kind of climbing in some of the structures and stuff. I was like, I hope we're not going to die, but this is totally worth it, So
It seemed like fun though. Like it just
it
seemed
was
like,
so much fun.
yeah,
It was a real high. It was a real high
Cool.
for the project that day.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how that video got made, and then we sent all the footage, and we had taken a little bit of time to kind of think on it and get a first edit, and then you have to kind of go back and forth quite a bit to sometimes to get to where you want to be, and so that took a little bit.
But your editor, videographer, Aaron, he was amazing. I actually spoke to him a little bit about it when it was being made, and
Cool.
he gave me some little
Oh,
I heard a bit about it, and and I told them, like, I saw some of the clips, and I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, you're doing such a good job. Like, he's amazing.
He's fantastic. He's really low key. He's really fast, and he's got a really open mind. And Rebecca had brought him into town to shoot for another project, and a couple of other bands had joined on that at the time. So I had met him because I was doing makeup for one of the other band's videos. It was Lemiaux's video, Drip Drop. So I did the makeup and wig work, as well as costumed a portion of the video from PepTides. So for the artists in town, and particularly the female artists, not because I'm playing favoritism or anything, but I have a lot of female clothes, ladies' clothes in Hepcat. I try to kind of give them a good package deal if they want me as a stylist, or and then they kind of get to access like all the stuff that I have, skills and gear and whatever they need. If I have it, they can use it as sort of a flat fee. So I was on set watching him film that video, and I thought to myself, man, this guy's got such a great vibe. He's got a great attitude. And we've been really lucky with who we've worked with in the past. Like we've done a lot of work with Chris Mellington, and he's just incredible too. And so we've really been lucky. You can always tell kind of right away, what kind of mind you're working with. And the ones that we've had the best experiences with were the ones that really were very collaborative and interpretive of the fairly strong opinion that we already have, So that's what's great about, just to circle back to kind of the first comments, is what's great about DIY art is that you can really come up with something no one's ever done before in that particular way, so it just goes to showcase the great costuming work that we do, and the team, Aaron and his assistant Chris West were just amazing. So we felt really lucky to have them.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was also wondering, like, how you guys come up with, who came up with the lead singers, like, for that song, for example?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Good question, Anita.
Yeah.
Well, we do try to keep things balanced, because there's 5. It's very rare that you have a project that really truly has 5 lead singers, 5 front people. There's really no other band that does that. I guess maybe Broken Social Scene is that way, and to a certain degree, there are a couple other bands that do have girl bands, boy bands. They have 5 leads, or 5 is a pretty common number. Yeah, or 4. And you want to make sure that each person gets enough material, But sometimes it's about what voice is going to best express the vibe that the song is going for. So is it like bouncy and upbeat? Is the song written in a particular range? So is it more appropriate for a boy or a girl? If you want to be binary that way. But so that particular song, I think, had this, Rebecca really brings this big, a real deep, rich power to her work always. So she has that real gravitas and that bass in her voice. And that's actually really rare for female singers. Not a lot of people have that much, like big, heavy, bassy. It's not heavy the way she does it, but it's got a nice gravitas to her voice. She has so much power in there.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the reasons why that she got chosen to sing that song. I think I could. Now that it's her, I really could only imagine her doing that song. But just the way that I could only imagine Olex doing her songs. She's not able to play with us. I in the past had tried to step into that. We tried to do Love ? And I was like, oh, this is so wrong. Like, I was trying to do all of her movements and like, and it was just like, no, this is not right.
It's like, no, I mean, I know I've experienced some shows when like, she's not, I think she wasn't there once, Chloe wasn't there once, and I think I missed, there was one that I missed that you weren't there, and it's just not the same, like, it's just,
well,
it's still amazing, I'm not gonna like say it's not amazing, but it's just, like when you each have your parts, it's like,
there's something really special and balanced, and we have always pursued that since the beginning. We kind of had to really be careful because before we had recruited all the other singers, it was just me and Dale that were really on the record. There were one or two other songs represented by one of the early singers in the PepTides. Her name is Pam Kapoor, amazing voice, and then also Claude's friend Maud sings a couple of songs. But we had to kind of take all that material that was primarily done by Claude and I, and with some Dale specials. So actually, we recruited him in because we're like, Dale, you got to sing this song. You got to sing. You have to guest in the project, to sing your own song because that's a Dale thing. We can't. I mean, we could, with enough practice, you can adapt anything really. But you really want to get the essence of that person's stamp, And so when we first started having 5 people, if you don't allocate enough material to one person, what do they do on stage for like 5 songs in a row when they're not soloing? So we really discovered fairly early on that it would be a real trick, an effort to balance things out. And, it's so interesting because over the years, people have perceived there to be a person who was the lead. For some people, they'll see, one singer as their person that they connect with the most, and so some people still do kind of don't understand 5 lead singers, you know what I mean? But I think it's kind of fun that way too, because everyone's going to kind of find their own place to land in the project, like Juan and Andrew have this great play that they do in the back, and Scotty's got his crazy hair flips that he does.
Which is like,
and,
so,
and
everyone
then
has
Alex
their specific things, but just as a whole, it's like magical,
Yeah, there's so much to look at, and it all seems to kind of fit together, because you're finding the way to move in that project all together. So, when we're releasing an album, we always try to at least have one solo for everybody, because otherwise, that's kind of not great for the one singer who doesn't have a place on the album. And then if there are more songs than that, then it kind of, we do still try to keep it balanced. And it's actually Claude that normally does that for us, and he takes a lot of time and care to do that, because people can get a little down.
The album, like the one that just came out, like the most recent one, Galapagos.
Yeah.
I listened to it, and I'm just, I paid more attention to it now that I listen to it so often. And I'm just like, oh, like Invaders, she really sings that well. Who else? No, I feel like she's made for that song. Oh, Beautiful Creatures. Oh no, she's made for that song. And then the songs that are more like suave, or like, oh yeah, that's Dale. That's definitely Dale,
Yeah, or like Jackie O. Like Olex is the only person that could do that.
Yeah, I was listening to that. And like, it's not like the other singers are not good. It's just like this song fits her so well,
Yeah.
I think you guys did a good job with how it all worked out. And
well, thanks. I'll let Claude know. All right. Well, thank you so much for having us on the Molecule channel. What are you doing for the rest of your week?
Project.
Okay.
Work. Now that I have a bit more time, I'm working on that, and I'm doing my same old family stuff.
There you go. Do you have like a nickname for your family? Is
No.
it the Mala clan?
Not yet, but it might be. I might use that.
There you go. It's the Mala Mala clan.
The Mall family.
Yeah, there
No,
you
my
go.
parents, no. They don't listen to the stuff I listen to. I mean, as you know, my mom joined me at one of the shows a couple of years ago. And well, the first time I came, actually, she had come to pick me up. So she came in at the end, and she's like, "Oh, they're good. I'd go see them again." So then I treated her to the second time.
Oh, nice.
And so it was. She's
That's
like,
cool.
but she's not the type to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see the same people over and over." I am. So
yeah.
like, I saw them. They're good, but I'm not gonna like keep going. But
yeah.
Like, you do what you want to do. You enjoy it. So. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm wait to see you guys soon.
Yes, well, at these day and age, it's real tough. So we have to get creative, and we might have a few things in the works, but when we're ready to talk about them, we know where to go.
Got you covered.
Exactly.
Let me know, and it will be like shared all over the place.
Right on. Well, we love that. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
And always let me know when and where to share stuff. So.
Absolutely, we sure will. All right, Anita, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you later. Bye.